So, here we are. This is the new TREK ProCaliber 6 mountain bike for the 2024 season. And in this episode, I will give you the buyer's guide for this bike, and I will tell you, should you just go ahead and buy it, or should you just consider this hardtail mountain bike? So the retail price of this hardtail mountain bike, it's a very interesting $1,700, and also don't forget that with TREK you can usually get very good discounts, and I've already seen these TREK ProCaliber 6 bikes discounted for about 10%. So hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. So in this episode, as I said, you will get the buyer's guide for this TREK ProCaliber 6 bike, and definitely I will tell you, should you just go ahead and buy it, or should you just shortlist this hardtail mountain bike? Okay. The retail price of $1,700, very interesting, competitive price point for this bike, and also you have a choice on two paint schemes for this bike. One of them is this totally black paint scheme. They call it basically satin black with a hint of silver. I mean, perfectly fine if you like a totally blacked out bike. And then you have this beautiful, in my opinion, Viper red paint scheme. I'm guessing that majority of the sales for this bike will go for this satin red paint scheme, which is a classical combination of red and black, very classy, very beautiful paint scheme. So now we can dive into the specifications of this bike and also answer the question, who is this bike for? So see, when you look at this hardtail mountain bike, so this is preferably designed for, of course, off-road riding, any kind of demanding off-roading you can easily attack with this hardtail mountain bike. And of course, as you can see, hardtail mountain bikes only have a front suspension. There is no rear suspension on this bike, which is, in my opinion, perfectly fine because the maintenance of this bike is going to be very easy. Also, one of the highlights of these bikes is definitely that it comes with the aluminum frame. So this is the TREK's Alpha Platinum aluminum frame. Again, perfectly fine. If, for example, you are worried about crashing your carbon fiber frame, which once when it's crashed is totally done, this aluminum frame gives you a bit more durability, and definitely, it is going to be a bit more heavier or a bit more harsher riding than the comparable carbon fiber frame, but generally speaking, as a durability for a hardtail mountain bike, aluminum frames are totally fine. So with this Alpha Platinum aluminum frame, you will get the threaded bottom bracket. You will also have the internal cable routing, kind of partially internally cable routing, because as you can see, the cables for the shifter and hydraulic disc brakes are at the beginning at the handlebar external, and then it goes internally down the down tube, and again exits at the back of the bike. Perfectly fine solution, easy to service, no specific proprietary tools here are needed. Also, this aluminum frame comes with 12mm through axle at the back, and also 15mm through axle at the front. Generally speaking, absolutely I have no complaints here when it comes to this classical aluminum frame for this TREK ProCaliber 6 mountain bike. Okay, now we can move on and have a look at the fork. So what are you getting here? So you will have the RockShox Judy silver fork. In this instance, it is the RockShox Judy with 120mm of travel, and if you will be buying this fork, for example, on the open market, the prices can vary between $210 all the way to $350. Some of the highlights of this fork include that when it comes to the damper type, it's the RockShox turnkey damper type. It has the 30mm wide straight wall steel legs on the fork, and also when it comes to the damper adjustment, you will have the full remote lockout for this fork, so you can of course run it open and fully locked. And also when it comes to the spring on this fork, it's a very simple solo air system from RockShox with the with the coil spring. Maximum braking rotors you can fit on this fork are 220 millimeters, so all in a very kind of simple, proper working horse from RockShox, their RockShox Judy Silver fork. Now moving on to some of the other specifications of this bike, let's talk about the wheel set on this bike. So this is a combination of the aluminum rims from Bontrager, so Bontrager Covey tubeless ready aluminum rims with the 23 millimeters internal width, and the hubs on these wheels are the Shimano TC500 hubs. Very simple Shimano's cup and cone hubs front and the back, 15 millimeters through axle at the front and 12 millimeter through axle at the back. Listen, this is a very simple aluminum wheel set. Shimano's hubs should be very reliable for a few years, and once when you destroy this wheel set, I can definitely recommend you to have a look at some kind of mountain bike wheel set from DT Swiss, for example. They make excellent aluminum wheel sets, so this would be my recommendation for the future. As it is now, perfectly fine. These Shimano hubs can be serviced, should be serviced, and then you will definitely have a few years out of this wheel set, no problem. These wheels also come with the new Bontrager Santa Anne Pro XR tires, which are tubeless ready tires. These are 29-inch tires by 2.2 inches, but I'm not so sure if this is a mistake here. I'm guessing that out of the box these bikes will come with 2.4 inches tires wide, so this is something that you can just check with your local Trek bike dealer. It is excellent that, of course, this is already set up tubeless from the factory, and for the mountain biking I definitely suggest you to keep on running the tubeless tires in the future. It is very good for any kind of small punctures, it will easily close it, and also this sealant that's inside, definitely refresh it every year, and just because it's a tubeless tire with the sealant inside, you can also run a bit more lower pressures with this tire. Now let's talk about the drivetrain on this bike. So what will you get? So this is a single chainring at the front system. So the shifter, the single shifter that you have, is the Shimano Dior M6100. So this is a mechanical Shimano group set, in this instance 12-speed mechanical group set. The rear mech is the Shimano XT rear mech, superb stuff, absolutely superb. This is the M8100 series, and the crank on this bike is the Shimano MT512. This crank comes with a single chainring, which is a 30-tooth chainring, so you might find this 30-tooth chainring a bit too small, because from my experience, usually majority of people can easily ride 32 or 34 chainrings, so maybe this is something in the future that you will upgrade to 32 or 34 chainrings. Also, the bottom bracket, as I was saying, is a classical Shimano's threaded bottom bracket, MT501 BSA threaded bottom bracket, and the cassette and the chain on this bike, Shimano Dior cassette, huge range 1051 cassette, paired with the Shimano Dior 12-speed chain. I would suggest you here in the future, when you destroy this chain, always buy something which is a 12-speed compatible from the Shimano's range. So for example, you can even go a bit higher, like the Shimano SLX or Shimano XT chains, or you can stick with the Shimano Dior 12-speed chains. Also, when I was mentioning about the single front chainring on this bike, the maximum you can run here is a 34-tooth chainring, so just keep that in mind, because standard this bike comes with the 30-tooth chainring. Okay, speaking about some other smaller components like the seat post and the saddle. So the saddle is the Bontrager Verse saddle. Saddles are always a personal preference, so if you don't like this one, very easy to replace. And also a very good thing here on this TREK ProCaliber 6 bike is that it comes with the Bontrager line dropper seat post. This travel of the seat post depends on the size of the frame, so it goes from 100 millimeters to 150 or 170 millimeters. It is a excellent addition to this bike, a classical 31.6 millimeters wide seat post with an excellent, dropper seat post. It's definitely going to help you when you are going downhill, and you can just, drop the seat post, and it's going to be much easier to go downhill. excellent addition for this price range, again, of $1,700. Handlebar and the stem on this bike are the Bontrager aluminum pieces. Separate pieces, nothing is proprietary here. Very easy to replace, upgrade, adjust your position on the bike. And I will just mention here that the handlebar width can be between 720 and 750 millimeters, again depending on the size of the frame. In my opinion, these 750 millimeter handlebars can be a bit too wide, so you might find it, later cutting it down to, for example, 720 millimeters wide handlebars. When it comes to the braking system on this bike, they are using a very simple Shimano's MT200 hydraulic disc brakes front and back, paired with the Shimano's RT10 braking rotors, and these braking rotors are 180 millimeters front, 160 millimeters at the back braking rotor. So perfectly fine as it is out of the box, but definitely in the future when you destroy these braking pads and these braking rotors, I would advise you to upgrade to, for example, Shimano Dior or Shimano SLX braking rotors. You will get a bit more, braking, better heat dissipation and better kind of braking power. As it is, Shimano's MT200 hydraulic disc brakes, perfectly fine now out of the box. Again, in the future, there's always a possibility if you need more of the braking power or the feel to upgrade to something like Shimano Dior or Shimano SLX braking system. And I'm also glad that TREK has here included the total weight of this bike in size medium, which is 12.6 kilograms. I consider this a very competitive bike weight, again, considering that this is an aluminum frame and it retails the whole bike package for $1,700. So in a summary, this TREK ProCaliber 6 for the 2024 season, with the retail price of $1,700, I think it's an excellent offering for a hardtail mountain bike with an aluminum frame from TREK, and I could definitely say that you should go ahead and just buy this bike. And also keep in mind that whenever you are dealing with the TREK shops, just definitely negotiate the price, and I'm definitely sure you can get about 10 to 15% discount on this bike. And of course, even with that discount, then it's an absolute no-brainer to go ahead and buy this hardtail mountain bike from TREK. So this is going to be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, keep on watching, keep on liking, and as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Cheers!